Welcome everybody to our very first Monday with Muktananda. I came up with that title. I'm really proud of myself for it. It's really fun to say, but this is Muktananda. Some of you have met him through our previous live stream. I don't know, a few months ago. Was it a few months ago?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And Muktananda is such a treasure to me and an ongoing fount of wisdom and guidance that I thought I better not hoard him all to myself, and I need to share some of the insights that I glean during our work together. So Muktananda is, I call him my business coach because that's originally why I hired him, was to help me figure out how to reach more people, how to use my soul's work in the world to expand my business and be of greater service. And it's just so much more than that. I mean, the growth that I am noticing within myself and the depth of understanding that I have about concepts that are sometimes difficult for us to wrap our minds around. He really has a talent and a skill for making this very grounded information, something that we can center ourselves in. So I want to share him with you all. And if it goes as I am envisioning and as I feel guided, then we will do a series of these. But you will only see us on Mondays, thus the name Mondays with Muktananda. So, Muktananda, will you give a little bit of background, presuming that people watching have no idea how you came to this work? Just kind of do an introduction on your own of what brought you to this point.
Very good, very good. Well, I've been involved in the world of organizational transformation, since the 80s. Working first with Tim Galloway, the founder of The Inner Game, which was a whole different approach to learning and ultimately expanded into transformational work in organizations. And that led me to working with people like Werner Erhard and Fernando Flores. And taking that work and actually building a company that I co-founded with my brother, a manufacturing company that won a great deal of awards because of the unique way we mobilized everyone in the organization and empowered everyone. So as I did more, and I did this kind of work on 4 different continents, and about 10 years ago, I had a spiritual awakening when I met a spiritual master named Sai Ma. She had a profound impact on my life. I did a great deal of work transforming and restructuring her organization. And it gave me new insights into how to think about what is happening on a much bigger level. So, for example, in the work of transformation, it's very helpful and to show people how they can take ownership for the choices they've made. And rather than be the victim, I am the creator of my own reality. I am where I am because of the choices I've made. I can become more aware of those choices. I can choose to make different choices, and in doing so, create a different future that's more aligned with what I wish to create and how I want to feel about myself. But with the spiritual awakening, it became clear to me that there's much more to being human than I had previously been aware of. I became much more aware of the subtleties of energy, that we humans are multi-dimensional beings. We don't just exist in the physical plane, but we exist in the mental and the emotional and the etheric and the light bodies, and then there's more and beyond. But those different levels of consciousness bring with it new possibilities for having an enriched life in what I call this 3rd dimension in this physical world. And so I took that training about choice. In other words, we are the result of the choices we make. And I asked a simple question. What if we actually chose to be here? It's not like, oh, we're here, now let's make the best of it. What if we took choice to a meta level and said, why or did we choose to be here? And if we did, why did we choose to be here? And how can we tune into that by tapping into higher frequency energy, into the higher dimensions of consciousness that are possible? And it opened up huge vistas for me that I never even dreamed was possible. And I was in the world of creating expanded possibilities. So that's it in a nutshell. If that's helpful.
It is helpful. What conclusion did you come to when you asked yourself that question? Why did you choose to be here?
Oh, it was rhetorical. It was rhetorical because my teacher had brought me into my total light body. She had the energetic space to hold that space, and I entered into it. And when I did, everything became clear to me. Why I chose to be here. Not only that, I had a particular dharma or purpose, life's purpose, and where I was missing the mark in this lifetime in fulfilling it, and what I needed to adjust and realign to get more in line with the purpose of it. So that's I think that's what you're asking, right?
No, I'm actually asking for you to share what you literally saw and understood of your purpose.
Well, once I was able to get completely outside of my ego-based self, I was able to recognize that we know that this life is finite, but I was able to embrace a transcendent reality and act from that state of consciousness. So I was, and it was Sai Ma who gave me the name Muktananda. And it proved to be a great gift because my parents gave me the name Michael. And Michael was a pretty accomplished guy, probably arrogantly so, but, pretty accomplished. And now Michael, in this new way of allowing consciousness to be the doer, Michael had to cease identifying as being the doer. So I had this ego and I had this alter non-ego self. And they had to duke it out for 2 years because Michael wasn't going to give up without a fight. But in fact, once I relaxed into this transcendent reality, it's not like he has no place. He just isn't in control. And when he isn't in control and I'm connecting with source energy, then there's only one thing to do. When you're not serving yourself, the only thing to do is to serve others. So you can't be awakened and conscious in this life and not be simultaneously serving others. Because if you're serving yourself, that's the illusion. That doesn't mean we can't make a nice, comfortable, and purposeful and meaningful life, but it's not the end in itself. It's just a means to higher service to humanity, to the world, to the planet.
Beautiful. So that's very well said, perfectly shared. And that's also what I am finding myself, as you know, in the dialogue. Stephanie as personality and Stephanie as soul have been in the ring for a little bit now with their boxing gloves on. I feel in so many moments very clear about my service in the world, how to bring that forward. And because of the recent massive changes in my life, transformations, divorce, new family structure, readjustment, redefining of who I am, rediscovering of who I am. The voice of ego, the personality side of me, as you and I have discussed, she's ticked and she's scared. So first she's scared, then she's pissed about, wait, what about, are we safe? Are we okay here? We don't know this path. Who are we now? What do we do now? How do we be in the world? And so what you're explaining, I'm resonating with very deeply, and I think a lot of other people will as well. How can we be the full integrated human that we are, because we have personality, voice of ego, the desire to have this notion of staying safe or protected in a world that oftentimes does not feel safe, and be of deeper and greater and wider service to the world.
That's a question, right?
That's for you.
Yes. Well, see, it doesn't matter how successful we are, at least this is my experience, or how comfortable our life appears to be. Quite often, there's still something missing. We can't put our finger on it, but we can have this feeling, this sense. So there's something that's just gnawing at us. And so all I'm saying is what we can do is, with some help, learn to listen to that voice. That's the first thing. Because the way this transformation works, it's through the law of resonance. So when I'm working with you or with someone else, I'm not going to be a referee between the two Stephanies, because I can't take away your free will. And that's not, but what I can do, and what I do, is I consciously hold higher frequency fifth dimensional energy, which is the resonance, which resonates with our light body, where we are completely in unison, where everything is crystal clear. And by holding that space, it will resonate with that same space which exists within you. So what you will end up experiencing is dissonance. You'll experience that conscious state, and you'll experience that which is not aligned with it, because that's how energy works. When you hold a higher intent to be in alignment with higher self, for example, anything that's not, then that intent, that simple declaration gets activated right away. And anything inside of you that isn't aligned with that will come to the surface. And that's the stuff we've got to deal with. Because if you can imagine a 3-layer cake, okay? 3-layer cake. And the first layer is what I call the third dimension, which is this physical plane. The second layer is the fourth dimension, and that's what some people call the astral plane, or in Jungian analysis, it would be the subconscious. But it's where the beliefs and the patterns and the scripts that are driving our lives, very often without our awareness consciously. And then the third layer is the fifth dimension, where we're in our light bodies, where we're in a state of, we're still separate in as individuals, but we're in a state of unity consciousness. Mm. And imagine in the middle of this cake, there's this tube right down the middle of it, and there's kinds of perforated holes all around this tube. And pouring through that tube is pure white light. Now, when it gets to the fifth dimension, the third layer, it just easily flows in there. When it gets to the fourth dimension, the second layer, there isn't as much room for it, because there's all of these habits and patterns and scripts and beliefs that reside there, some of it from past lives, some of it from what we've created in this lives, taking up space. So there's not as much light that can fill that space. So a lot of the work, when all of this stuff, let's call it that, starts to arise, the easiest way to deal with it is to become aware of it. That's the first thing. And learn how not to be reacting to it or simply habitually responding, but becoming aware. And in that awareness, then you can take it to the next level and dissolve it. Because it's not permanent. You have the ability to release it. But you can't release something you're not aware of. So you release it. Now that doesn't happen overnight, but the more you release it, the more light there is in that second layer, which is the fourth dimension. Because that's where all of our issues in the third dimension arise from. All fourth dimensional. So you just got to deal with them. Okay. Now some people spend years and years and years in therapy. Okay. And maybe they get some help, maybe they're not. But this is a much more, when you start working with light and light frequencies and energies, it's much more powerful to dissolve and to become aware and then dissolve those issues. Then you start feeling much lighter in this physical, even a lot of our illnesses stem from those beliefs and those fixed ideas that we become attached to. So once we get freer and there's lighter, then we're much more easily to let go of that ego-based self and trust that we're not going to just lose it. We're actually going to be much more powerful and focused on how our unique gifts, our unique talents can be in service to others. And that doesn't mean we become poverty-stricken. You can create massive abundance while creating service to others. In fact, it's better if you do, because you'll be that much more effective.
Amen. Yes to that. We had a session maybe a couple weeks ago. And one of the things that I took from that session, because we were talking about this exact topic, we were talking about how I was sharing my struggle with being in the personality and still in some ways subscribing to old belief systems, patterns, fears, and tendencies towards reactivity when the circumstances are just perfect for that. And as we process that, and you really talk to me about, Stephanie, in some ways, the personality of Stephanie is, you use the phrase dying, which I realize is kind of a heavy, strong word, especially in a culture that is taught to fear death. But it's not dying like that. It is, for me anyways, what I understand is that her role for me has changed. And I'm looking now for alternative employment for her. So what I do now, when I recognize that some of the patterned fears or beliefs, whether it's not good enough or not doubts, just whatever the doubts may look like for the moment, right now, what I do is I vision myself walking her to the couch, and I get her really comfy, and I bring her a cup of tea, and I give her the remote to the TV, and I say, here you go. Like, this is a good place for you right now. You just watch any show you want. Here's your tea, relax, be comfortable. I'm going to work right now in a dimension where you do not have a role. Because I was starting to notice that while my messages and my access to spirit is, thank goodness, always clear, I was starting to hear her voice, like try to get in there and say whatever it is that she said. So she now has a place. She has a comfortable spot, best seat in the house, in front of the TV. And I go about my soul's work, and I feel wonderful and amazing. And she's recognized as an aspect of me, because again, we're talking about being an integrated human, not denying certain parts of ourselves or diminishing them or pretending that they're not there. And that's really been working. What do you think of that?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like my coaching. Yes, no, that was a great, if you try to fight the ego, you're going to lose. Okay? Because it's like the mind fighting with itself. It's going to go nowhere. So what you want to do is not fight the ego, you want to love and embrace it. And it's just that the kind of work that needs fifth dimensional consciousness can't be done by the ego-based self. This can't, because because the doer there's no place for the doer. There's only the place for the allower. And the allower is that state of consciousness where you are out of the way and you're allowing source energy to flow through you. So you did the right thing. You took Stephanie, the ego, and Stephanie has many, many things to keep her busy. I mean, you're a mom, you have children, you got to get all of their school, their food, all of their, Stephanie's got a full-time job just taking care of her family, and thank her for that. She's fabulous. She does a great job. And when it's time for Stephanie's higher self to do her particular unique work, the other Stephanie just can relax,
Yeah.
because that's, so I think I said, you got to learn to compartmentalize. Don't fight, embrace, take care, and then you'll have peace. It's a strategy.
Yeah. And what was really helpful within that session as well was I felt like you gave me permission to enjoy, because first of all, I really enjoy I love being a mother. I love being a cook, a chef. I love taking care of my dogs. I love growing plants. I love tending my garden. I love tending my home. I love being a friend. I love being a daughter. Like, I really dig these human relationships. And yes, they are also coming in, that they are part of the personality. But they're rich and they're beautiful. And what you said was, do that. And that's like you said, to compartmentalize. That is one compartment. And then the other stuff, the channeling work, the spiritual connection, the teaching that I do, the healing that comes through me, that's another compartment. And that has really, really helped me to free myself even more for further expansion, for higher access and work. And I think it's important for us to know that we can dive into a variety of roles that we play, enjoy them, not feel stretched in too many directions, just do the thing and the role that you are there, that is required of that moment. Enjoy it, embrace it, love the beauty and the miracle of those moments, and just keep shifting into other compartments when it's required, when that's how your life is geared.
Yeah, because you see, your dharma includes your children. You made that choice, and you made that choice to have these children, to be their mother and to take care of them and nurture them. That's part of your dharma. And Stephanie's like magnificent at that. Okay. And then there's this other part that comes from a transcendent state of consciousness that you have tapped into and become aware of and nurtured and grown, so that its presence is now so powerful. And Stephanie can't do that work.
Right.
So you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Yes, that's perfect. I think it's a perfect place for us to wrap for this particular session. I hope that in the listening of this, that what people take away is to really allow themselves to be in whatever the flow is, and that we are multifaceted and multidimensional beings, and we move in a variety of directions, sometimes all in the same hour. And it is okay to be all of that. And it is okay to find a nice spot on your couch and let your personality, ego self just sit and sip tea, show appreciation, and then go into the beyond as often as you need to, because that is where our truth lies, and that is where our growth and a lot of our insight comes from.
Thank you. It's been beautiful.
Thanks, Muktananda. All right.
And thank
we'll
you,
do
Stephanie.
another one, another Monday.
Okay.
Take care.